everyone, welcome back to another scrapbook process video, and thank you for joining me again today. So I have another layout today, and this one is a bit different. I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with this layout. Basically, by that I mean I liked it, and then I didn't like it, and then I liked it, and I didn't like it, but the end result I love. So I have cut down a piece of a cream cardstock. I don't know the exact color. It was just one of the light colors. I took my circle cutter and I just traced around it. Any circle item would work. And I put those little faux stitching lines. I followed the pencil's lines, and I didn't record all that because I knew it would take a really long time. It actually didn't take too long, but it did take a few minutes. So then what I did was I erased all the pencil marks, and I took some of this modeling paste or texture paste, and it's by Ranger, and it dries in that translucent clear. You can kind of see I showed it in the light a few minutes ago. And this is something I like to use modeling paste on occasion. I'm not a big mixed media fan. I love the way some people can make them look, but it's not necessarily for me all the time. But I do love the look of modeling paste and stencils. So one thing I showed was I used a leaf stencil because these are pictures from Thanksgiving, and I used the leaf stencil with the clear. So there's leaves on there now, but you probably can't see them. However, I didn't even consider the fact that the pen I used for my faux stitching would make, or the modeling paste would make that pen run. So you kind of saw, I showed a little bit of a close-up at the beginning of this video. I hope you guys saw that. It did go pretty quick. I'm sorry for that, but you can kind of see where it's kind of smeared on the two spots now. But I thought about starting over, but I thought, you know what? I'm not going to give up just yet. I'm going to at least give it a try. And honestly, I thought if I hated this layout enough, I just wouldn't even record it or do a voiceover or post it. I don't always like to not post bad ones, but if there's ones this one I thought for sure, I almost turned the camera off, but I'm really glad that I didn't, because at this point I was thinking, I'm not so sure about this layout. It was going okay. It just was And so I've chosen to mount this. I am following a sketch, by the way, a page map sketch. I'm sorry I don't know what month it was from or what year, but you will see that sketch next to, I took a picture of the sketch next to my layout at the very end with the close-up photos. So you can pause your video then if you want to see the two together, because I basically followed that sketch almost exactly. The embellishments are a little bit different, obviously, which they almost always are, but that's where I got the idea to do the faux stitching, and that's where they didn't have the modeling paste things, I don't think, but that's where I got the idea for this layout. I was looking at these different pattern papers, and again, I'm following the sketch, so they had theirs mounted on a pattern paper background, and I really liked it. I chose this leaf one because it really, to me, represented the fall and the November and the Thanksgiving quite well. I'm going to get it because I definitely like this pattern and could use that. By the way, this is a great paper. These leaves would be really easy to fussy cut, and maybe I will do that. I didn't even think about it while I was doing this layout, but looking at it here on the camera, if you needed some embellishments, this would be a good paper to fussy cut. So I am inking all my edges, of course, again. So now I'm going to glue down my layout, and I used a little bit more ATG on the back of the cream cardstock just because that modeling paste or texture paste did make it warp just the tiniest bit. And so I did, but when I glued it down, it went pretty much flat. So I don't think on the sketch that they had this middle part mounted onto another cardstock, but I wanted just a little bit of separation for the cream cardstock and the brown, or the leaf paper. I just wanted a little bit of separation there. So that is how the layout is going. And you won't really see probably too much of the leaves because I've never used this texture paste before, but I really liked it. I like how it's there, and in person when you're looking at the layout, it's slightly noticeable, but it's not enough to really take, like, it's not like bam in your face. So that was a lot of fun to play with. So two things that they had on the sketch that I'm doing here is that scalloped border sticker. I don't know if you noticed me, I also cut that scallop border sticker down. So if you have a border sticker, don't be afraid to get your trimmer out and cut it down to whatever size you want it to be. The scallop that they had was a real, maybe close to 1 inch thick. And so I wanted it to be a little bit smaller because where they had it above on the top part of the layout, where you can see where I put mine now. And they also had it above the one photo, which to me is another part where I'm like, this is the point where I was really like, yeah, I'm not sure about this layout. It's just not really, I wasn't liking it at this point. Then I put this Happy Thanksgiving down, and I put a couple other things down, and I start to like it again. And it kind of just goes back and forth the whole time. Again, like I said, at this point, I'm really surprised I didn't turn the camera off. And I'm really thankful that I didn't, because I'm happy with the result. It's something a little bit different than I normally do. And I like how it turned out. So one thing I will say, where the leaves are that I used the texture paste on is where that leaf is on the top layout of the layout, and next to about the left hand side of that Happy Thanksgiving turkey, and at the bottom. So I didn't even think about where they were when I was making my clusters, and I don't think it matters because, like I said, it's such a subtle addition to the layout that it doesn't really make that big of a difference. Here I'm looking for some more leaves. I wanted some more leaves to add. I wanted some leaves in each cluster area. And if I would have thought about fussy cutting from that paper at the time I was making this layout, I probably would have done that. While I'm building my clusters, I am thinking about that spot where on the top. So far I've covered both the other spots where the ink from the brown circles got kind of bled with the texture paste. I'm trying to cover up that top one now, and it's going to throw me off a little bit because it's so far above the photos. And that's another spot where I start to not really like the layout, because it's just the way that I'm starting to build them. It just seems really wonky and weird, but it works out. So I was saying that I have the texture paste down in below the photos instead of with the cluster on the right hand side, but I do at the end, I decide to add just a few more leaves, and I don't show that in the video. I did it after the camera was off, and I was still not so 100% sold on putting this video up. I do like to put up layouts that are not my favorite. I don't like to just do the ones that I like, because I really feel like, we can't love every layout. So I want you guys to see that just because we're on YouTube or we do YouTube videos doesn't make us any different, because we still have layouts that we don't like. Some people do probably only post layouts that they like. I don't know. I don't watch enough of them to really know. Now that school started, I've had very little time to watch any YouTube videos. So I don't always, there have been a few, and you guys know, because I say at the end or I say during it, I don't really care for this video or this layout, but you guys are always so encouraging. And one thing I've noticed is putting the layout to the side. A lot of times when I come back to it, a layout that I don't care for, I like it like the next day or a week later or whatever. So yeah, I don't always, I might hate it at the time or dislike it at the time, but coming back to it really helps. So if you have a layout that you're really, really struggling with, don't be afraid to set it aside for a while. And that is something that is super hard for me. If I'm not liking a layout, I don't like to stop working on them and come back to them later. That's hard for me. I like to finish it. It's just something I like to get it done. And but there's been a couple times where I just said, I can't do this right now because it's going to turn out horrible, and I come back to it and it looks good. So this is one that I'm just like powering through, because I honestly, mentally in my mind at this point in the video, I thought, I'm not going to post this. This is not working. And I'm trying all kinds of different things. I'm trying to use up stickers. I had 2 of these sticker sheets because I got one in this is the same collection that I used with the Scrapbook Generation kits that I just did. And so I had a half empty sticker sheet, and so I'm just trying to use up all the little tiny stickers. Another thing that I'm trying to do is, bring my clusters and colors around, and I like where the clusters are. I like the leaves. I did cut some leaves off of the branch, which if I would have thought about fussy cutting the leaves from the paper, I would have been much happier, because I love that branch and I didn't want to cut it apart because I just love the way it looked, but I went for it and I just cut it apart. So it is what it is. Yeah, and I'm just kind of looking around at anything else I might want to add into the clusters. I felt like they were just weird shaped clusters, if that makes any sense. Like the one on the top was kind of pyramidish shape. Pyramidish, that's a new word I made up apparently. I felt like it kind of had a pyramid shape to it. The one on the left felt very like triangle look to it. I don't know. I'm going to keep playing though. So I'm going to take one of my peel-offs. Love these peel-offs. This, I thought at the time I would just place it a couple spots on the layout. So I thought about this gold sparkle. One of the reasons I wanted to use the gold sparkle is because when I was getting things out of this kit, these 3 little gold, like, enamel leaf shapes. They're not really enamel. They're more of a puffy sticker, but they were gold and glittery. They were from Close to My Heart. I don't even know where they came from, if they were in with this kit or what, but they fell out, and or they were there and on my desk, and I thought I would use them up. I looked for more in with my enamel shapes, but if I have more, that's not where they are. So, I wanted to use up those 3 leaves, and I thought these are good clusters to use them in, but it felt weird just having that little tiny bit of the gold sparkle. So this is one thing that I also love about the gold peel-offs, or the peel-offs in general, is I placed a strip below that scallop on the photo, actually below each scallop border. And this is when I really started to like the layout again. I thought, wow, that really just adds something. Here is where I was very undecided whether or not to add one below this border, but this scallop border, but I decided to go ahead and do it. And I'm so happy that I did. You guys probably can't see in the video what it really just adds that little bit to the layout. So the other thing I thought is, because I did have those 3 little gold leaf shapes, I wanted more gold in the clusters, and I think I have gold enamel dots or whatever, but one thing I wanted to try before I made my peel-off video was whether or not you could use the extra parts to these these peel-off sheets. And so I brought out a punch and I punched a shape, and sure enough, punch is super easy and it's just like a sticker. And then I wanted more leaves, but I knew I wouldn't have enough. So here I'm just showing you that I'm going to take a couple dies that I have, and just the small leaf shapes from I think I took 2 different size leaf dies, and I just trimmed them out. You can kind of see them on the left hand side now. So each cluster is going to have 3 different gold leaves, and this is where I really started to like the layout too. I felt like it gave this top cluster a little bit more interest, so it wasn't such a pyramid shape. I feel like it kind of just finished off the cluster on the right hand side that was kind of bugging me. The cluster on the left hand side was not a whole lot to it, but I was okay with it. And so it really, I think part of that is the leaves that I used the texture paste on as well kind of helped, because they were all around that cluster. And again, that's probably nothing you can see in the video. I am going to add a little bit of extra glue behind the Close to My Heart leaves that I have, because they just didn't seem very sticky at all. So I'm okay adding extra glue anytime that I need to add extra glue. So really, each cluster has one of the Close to My Heart gold leaves, a smaller gold leaf, and a medium-sized gold leaf. And I love it. I love the fact that I could get all those extra leaves off that sticker sheet. So it just makes those peel-off sticker sheets go even further. So coming up is some close-ups. This layout actually went fairly quickly, other than the paste. So what I did was I had to go get my son from school, so I just did the stenciling part with the paste before I left, and by the time I came home it was dry. So it really doesn't take very long to dry, and you can see there where all the leaves are. And I have a couple more close-up photos. Here's more of the leaves, so you can see that they really just add a little something extra. And again, I did add a couple extra. Sorry, this probably isn't the best picture, but that is the sketch that I followed, and you can see that it really went well. So I hope you guys like this layout. I love the end result, and I thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.